Explain to me when you decided to become an athlete. When did that become a thing for you?
Um, I don't think it was kind of a real decision. I think it was kind of, yeah, from when I was young. It just kind of became a lifestyle. I was just always sporty. I wasn't very good at school, like didn't have any concentration in class or sitting down and stuff when I was little. So I think my mum figured out the more sports I did and the more like I burnt all that energy, the better behaved I was. So she was all for taking me to every sports club and yeah, I'd say I just kind of did everything when I was little. And yeah, I guess the big decision probably was more to focus on one sport. And for me, that was running. So I was probably about 13 when my run coach was like, you could be good at this, but if you do all the other sports, you'll never like truly reach your potential at running. So yeah, I kind of stopped doing them all and just became a runner.
The transition from running to triathlon is an interesting one. How did that come about?
Yeah, so yeah, then the irony going to triathlon after that.
Right.
It was more of yeah, I was injured. I kind of yeah, I was performing at a good level and just really, really motivated to keep on training when I was having a knee problem. And in the end, yeah, Kelly Holmes was mentoring me, and she kind of said, "Well, I think for you to really take that time off running, you need to feel yourself like you need to have a goal that's going to keep you motivated, keep you training, keep you feeling good about yourself, and that'll give you time to like recover from the knee injury." So she had a charity spot in London Triathlon. And yeah, she was like, why don't you swim and bike train? And then that can be the goal for kind of your comeback to running, to do a triathlon. And yeah, that really appealed to me. It meant that I wasn't just going to the gym and doing one-legged rowing just to keep fit and like knowing that I'd try running again the next week because I was so bored of this like hand cycle and rowing. So yeah, the swimming and the it humbled me as well. Like getting back
Sure.
into a pool, swimming with like 11-year-olds and having my ass kicked. Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. And I kind of enjoyed that. It kept me going back and to see the progression and stuff, it kind of, yeah, it held me in there.
Yeah, no, interesting. Looking like back over your career, like you said, like fully committing to running at 13. How do you see those phases? Like you went from because when did you did full triathlon? At what age?
I was probably around 18 years old.
18. Okay. So take me through that, like 13 to 18, and then up till now. How do you see those phases?
Yeah, I think 13 to 18 was yeah, I'd say I was probably quite a different in terms of like I went through that time at school where at 13, 14, 15, you're still pretty like cool because you're like a good runner, you're a sports prefect, you're like having your social life. I'd say I was quite balanced, but then it got to the age of like 16, 17, and you're suddenly really different because yeah, you're training all the time and you're flying away to international races and I had a sponsor and yeah, I felt like I was a professional athlete. Like all the rest of my friends were out having fun, going to parties, and yeah, I was just saying no all the time. And but I loved it. I was really driven. My best friends became also like my training partners and the people we were kind of flying around racing with. And I think that's what gave me the balance, and that's what kept me in that phase, kind of loving elite sport at a tough transitional age, like a 13-year-old to an 18-year-old. Like you say, that's two very different people, and all the changes that go on in that time. I really think my close friendships kind of, yeah, made that pretty smooth for me. And yeah, I think then turning when I was 18 and going to triathlon, my first triathlon coming out the water, probably one of the last people, and having an okay bike and then running through the fields, but still coming like sick, where I'd been used to like being at the top of my game and winning and being paid for races. It was really humbling. And it was kind of, I think that fight that I needed again to, yeah, show me that actually I love the challenge and I love the process and just pushing my body to the limit without it breaking down.
Have you been able to like put into words what you love about it? Because I like it too, right? But I don't, it's sort of intrinsic. Have you been able
Mm.
to put it into words?
Yeah, I think if I compare it, I think running is still like my absolute passion. Like when I
Right.
put on my shoes, I go out for a run. I think that's a really hard, like you say, to put into words, that it's just a feeling. Like I just feel like, yeah, it's my therapy almost. Like if I have a problem and I go for a long run, everything feels so much better when you come back. And I think that is hard to explain. That's a feeling. Whereas I think for me, going from running to triathlon, what I really enjoyed about the triathlon side of things was the community and the fact that it was better for my body because I was able to train all day. Well, do a lot of hours of training. And I felt like my engine got bigger without the rest of my body breaking down. And I think also that being an elite runner, when you're racing on the track and there's just everyone else is in the stadium looking down, compared to being in a triathlon when you're standing at the water's edge with thousands of people and you're all in the race together. I really enjoyed that kind of, yeah, just that feel of community. Age group is elite, like everyone together in a big massive race. And I guess it's a bit like road running. It's just like one big party,
Hmm.
like marathon. It's, yeah, I love that feel.
Now I remember my first race. Obviously not even comparable, but I've been training, and it was all like in my garage, like in I'm in the Netherlands, so it's like always raining and everything. So it was like a dark thing for me. Like cardio was like going sort of to the dark side. And then I did my first Ironman. Everyone's like happy, and it's like you say, it's all one big family, and it's all positive. It's a funny experience for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's how it should be. I think if you do that really hard, gritty, like deep, dark place work where you suffer in training, that yeah, it is a celebration when you get out racing because you deserve that result. Like you've done all the hard graft, and then that's the kind of party to, yeah, get it all out there and like you say, have the support and have everyone around you.
Yeah, for sure. What's the toughest race you've ever done, looking back over your career?
Oh, uh, I think probably so when I met my now husband, so he's South African, and I came over to visit him in Joburg, and no one told me that it was at altitude. I didn't know it was at altitude, and they were like, "Oh, there's a fun like half Ironman distance race at the weekend. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure. I just do it. Like it's a great way to train. Like I don't know the place, so it'll just be a great training session." And my so arrived at the race. My DI2 had totally failed. So he's like, "Don't worry, you can jump on my road bike." And I was like, "Okay." And he's way bigger than me. It's probably like two sizes too big. So I was like, "Cool, okay." It was a filthy hot day. Um, I think two of my bottles bounced out on the course. Yeah, the roads were pretty rough. And then the trail run, yeah, the minute I got off the bike, I just was like, yo, I'm finding it really hard to run. And then my hamstrings, I think, because I'd been so stretched out on his bike, like they were just not wanting to play. And it turned into a bit of like a run, hobble, run, hobble. And yeah, I think the girl that was second was probably only about like a minute behind me. And there were so many like U-turns, so I could keep seeing her coming. And I was like, just trying to like hobble a bit, stop cramping in my hamstrings, and then run on. And yeah, it was brutal, so brutal.
Can imagine. It's fun though. Those are the ones, right?
Yeah, they're the
It's always fun.
stories.
What does training look like right now for you?
So I'm kind of coming out of, I started my base build a little bit earlier this year. So we started really kind of building in December. So now, yeah, normally in kind of January time, I'd still be on base, and I use kind of some of the road races and half marathons here as like good strength training at the end of like a big week. But we've already started now putting in some harder sessions, just because, yeah, I'm prepping that little bit earlier. And I'd say, yeah, if you want specifics of a typical week, there's probably two hard TT sessions in there. Still keeping in two long rides. My long run, I'm not running off the bike at the moment. That'll come next month. And yeah, my weakest is the swim. So lots
Hmm.
of swimming, probably 5, 6 times a week, and yeah, normally a 5K or over.
Okay, it's interesting you mentioned that. What's your methodology going like approaching training? Is it like training your weaknesses or like going hard on your strengths?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had it my way, I'd want to do both. But I think we periodize it. I think in the when I have a real big block at home, we really concentrate on those weaknesses. Whereas like coming into a race where I feel like we've done a lot of work on that, I can see my coach putting in kind of the tasty run sessions that make me feel good about myself when they're ticked.
Hmm. Tell me about coaching, like the role that has played for you. Are there like sometimes you get advice, right, from a coach or whatever, and it like completely like changes your approach to sports in general? Are there moments you recall?
Yeah, I think probably going to Tim Don as a coach. He's very I'd say we're very different personalities. He's like super into the science, reads into everything, and he's very on the cautious side. Like if I have a niggle, he'll be like, "Okay, like we're," but he's confident enough to back off, and I'd say he trains smart. And I went to him as an athlete who loved training all the time, always wanted more sessions, and always wanted to do more. And he kind of flipped my approach of he'd put in really hard sessions that I'd look at and I'd be like, oh, like Tim, I think you've set those times for like someone else. Like I'm not sure if that's my session. Like surely it's one of the guys you coach or something. And he'd be like, no, we're only doing that session today because this is such a key session and I want you to show yourself like you can do it. And sometimes I was falling short to begin with on those sessions, and it was because I was doing extra like around because I always wanted to be training and my body was never fresh enough to go to a new level. And I think, yeah, the more I worked with him and I understood actually there's a reason your body needs to be a bit fresher going into really, really hard key things, because that's where you actually break past your limits. You don't want to always stay at that one kind of consistent level of training. Like at some point you need to be hitting new times and yeah, things you didn't think you could do. And also that it was okay to fail, that it was okay to give 100% in a session and still fall short. And that just became a goal. That just meant that it was a session that was going to be set in 4 weeks' time. And yeah, I think the old me would have seen that as like a failure and I'm not where I should be. And that means I'm not going to like, yeah, I'm going to let people down. Whereas now I look at it and it's just a really good thing to chase and a good goal to have. And I think he flipped that mindset for me.
Mature way of approaching it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
fine. Where does your mind go like mid race or like training, like whenever it gets like tough? Is it like you try to calm your just the voices down, or you get like mad or something? Like different athletes have different approaches, right?
Yeah, I think for me, again, something that I've learned is that I'm always can push harder when I'm happier. And something for me, like I think again, the old me when I was injured and angry, like I'd almost be cross training, like thinking I wanted to punish myself. Like you have to be tougher, like you're injured, so you have to suffer more. Whereas, yeah, like you say, the more mature you get, I now realize that I race best when I'm happiest. And like if I'm in that deep dark place of a session and every single part of you wants to stop or slow down and you don't think you can hold on, like I think happy thoughts. Like I think of my husband being proud of me, or I think of like the huggy licky kisses I'm gonna get off my dogs when I step off the treadmill. And yeah, just all the goodness, like the good vibes, and it just, I don't know, it gives me more energy. And yeah,
Hmm.
I'd say that's very different to the, yeah, the young kid that used to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna prove to everyone, like if someone didn't
Hmm.
think I could do this, I'm gonna show them wrong," and be the more angry athlete.
I got it. I got to get there. What percentage of the time, like you race, that you think you're happy? Because that's probably like 5% for me.
Yeah, I think I'd say never on the swim. Like I'm never happy on the
Mm.
swim. I never know where I am. I always am just going full tilt, and it's almost a blur for me, the swim. I'm just, yeah, just focusing on breathing, not getting swamped. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like ever in a happy place on the swim. But I'd say when I get onto the bike, if it's not too technical, like as soon as I get in my flow, yeah, I think that becomes quite a mind game because it's the longest part of the triathlon. And yeah, I often think of like good thoughts then.
Hmm.
And I'll go into it sometimes with a song that I just have absolutely loved, and just play that kind of a couple of times around in my head and count my pedal strokes. And yeah, just I think as well as sometimes I just talk to myself like, yeah, just saying, come on, like keep the pressure on. And but all good stuff, never
Hmm.
like you're doing rubbish or
Yeah, no, like you say, more mature. That's fine. Um,
yeah.
22 times you became first on the 17.3, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something. What's the difference between the person that finishes first and the person that finishes second, in your opinion?
Yeah, the I think coming second is good. I think it's good to know actually you've still got a lot of work to do. Like I find it really motivating not winning. And I do love if an athlete beats me, I love then like looking at them and talking to them, and just learning from them and thinking, hey, this person like is a good role model of helping me be a better me. But yeah, then opposed to that, in coming first, I feel just it's such a good way to say thank you to everyone that supports you, everyone that believes in you, all the sponsors. Like I feel like it's a good way of paying back, and hopefully as well like building something that you can give more back in the future. Like the more you achieve, then yeah, the more you can give back out in the world. And that's a really good feeling that I get when winning a race.
What about the times you felt you should have became first, finished second? Was there like a mindset maybe component, or what do you attribute that to? Like the times you didn't finish first?
Yeah, I'd say if like if I thought I could have won the race and something's happened, and if it's something that I could have controlled like beforehand or something I could have done different in the race, like I will get on myself about it and just keep on like talking to my coach about it, talking to my husband, and until they tell me to shut up, because I will really go on about it because I keep wanting to like re-emphasize that I yeah, to not make that mistake again. So I say I can be quite like hard on myself on that. But yeah, I think as well I always think of the things that could have gone wrong for other people in a race. And so you're always happy to see, yeah, people do well and
Hmm.
have their day. And yeah, it's never kind of a bad feeling.
Training itself, like I understand, like boxing, for example, you get better in with technique, or powerlifting, like you build muscle. What is it about training, like being on the treadmill for like hours on end? What specifically makes you better? Have you been able to like put that into words?
Yeah, I think a lot is yeah, sports specific. So for example, when I started out with Tim, he really got onto me about my aero position. Like he saw my numbers, he saw what I could hold like power wise on the bike, and he could see that could be a lot faster on the road, if I had a better position. And that's not as simple as it sounds. Like it was quite a frustrating process because it meant that in changing my position to hold a more aero position, to be in a more like aggressive position on the bike, I had to knock back my power to begin with to yeah, be able to hold that position. And for me that was, I don't know, my like the power on a bike was kind of me, that showed me that I was fit, that I was strong. But that doesn't mean anything in a race if you're totally like inefficient. So it was kind of going through that process of actually, okay, I'm going to have to hold lower numbers to be, and it was the same speed on the road, and then building the numbers slowly back up in that same position. So I was actually getting faster on the road. And I think that's true in, yeah, across all three sports. Like the more efficient you can be, yeah, the more energy you're saving. So actually, the faster you can go for less effort. So when you put in still your maximum effort, you're going to be a whole lot faster and more efficient. And It is something you can train in, like on the run, really frustrating at the start to hold a low heart rate on your steady long runs, but that eventually turns into a flowing kind of good running pattern, and then that's good economy. And yeah, I think economy is a really frustrating thing to train because it means slowing down to begin with, but it's really, really useful for endurance sports when you kind of get that efficient engine. And the same with the technique, not having dead spots in your pedal stroke, not having dead spots kind of on your landing on the run. Um, and then, yeah, as again, in all endurance sports, add into that the nutrition. If you can take on at least kind of 80, 90 grams an hour of carb in a race, which is actually can be really, really hard when you're pushing your body hard.
Sure.
Yeah, you've got to train it in. Otherwise, your body's going to kind of reject that. And
Hmm.
yeah, you'll be needing to go to the loo on the run and stuff. So yeah, having that mind of kind of force feeding over time, so you kind of introduce it steadily into training. I think that's something that really can be game changing for people in long races.
What do the macros look like for you on like race week, for example?
So what like my nutrition's like on
Hmm.
race week? Yeah, so I'm very, especially in like long distance races, I have quite a fragile stomach and I will really cut kind of fiber right down. I'll stick to my lean proteins, my real simple carbs. Typical would be like white bread with egg on toast for breakfast. Rice, I have loads of white rice, so like white rice and chicken for lunch. Snack on like Cliff Bars or whatever kind of in the day. And yeah, evening will be very similar, like white rice and chicken, or yeah, something. Sometimes maybe once kind of earlier in the week, I have red meat just for iron levels. But yeah, really low fiber, just in race week.
Hmm. There you go. Fun. Are there like things you do in training or nutrition or like unconventional that others look at it, they're like, this is crazy.
Uh, no, I say I'm pretty. So I work with Precision Fuel and Hydration, and yeah, I love their products, and they've really worked out kind of yeah what I should be taking and how best to hold it on the bike in a race. And I'd say I try and copy that as much as possible in training, just so that it becomes the absolute norm, and my body's kind of used to it. And yeah, I often. I mean, for long, long rides, if I'm doing a 5, 6 hour ride, the other day we did a 300K ride, then I'll treat myself. Then I'll stick in the Haribos and yeah, have the chocolate milks and yeah, it's a bit of a free for all. But yeah, it's just stuff. Yeah, stuff that especially in hard sessions, I that's the real key for me is to be able to take on my race nutrition
Hmm.
when I'm maybe feeling a bit sick or feeling like I'm really pushing myself.
Yeah. Oh, nothing unconventional, just the basics. That's good. What about recovery? You like the crazy ice baths or anything?
Recovery. So we have a pool here and it is absolutely freezing. I would say, and we also have a sauna. So the whole thing was, yeah, running between the two. I'd say I've done that a couple of times, but I normally whisk out of the pool. It's super cold, so I'll like dip into my waist and then quickly get in the sauna. But yeah, I love my heat training. It's something again I struggle with. I sweat so much, and I find when I get that consistency, kind of every other day saunas, if I'm recovering really well around that and really taking on all the liquid that I've lost, then yeah, they've been really beneficial to me.
I hear you. Fine. So I gotta take up advantage of the opportunity, right? So I have my second race in August.
Okay.
So let's say you're me. What would you do next 7 months? How would training look like?
So you're doing a full distance.
Yeah, I'm doing a full distance. I run 10K in 45 minutes. That's an interesting one. Like I said, I did the previous one in like 15 hours, but it wasn't really fair because I got like badly injured. I just wanted to finish, but like the 10K in 45 minutes. So that's probably relevant.
Okay. And do you know what? Have you run a half marathon, a marathon?
Not recently. No.
Okay. Okay, but do you feel like you can comfortably, was 45 minutes like your 10K like
Oh no,
proper race?
I could comfortably run a marathon right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would say so. Your run's obviously not a problem. You're running well. I would say in the next 7 months. So hopefully you've been doing like your big base training at the moment.
Hmm.
If you haven't been doing those long turbos, I mean, also remember that if you're doing a lot of indoor training is tougher than outside.
Sure.
So yeah, if you're doing like when I was doing my 4 or 5 hour rides on the turbo, like that would equate for like a 6 hour ride outside. So fueling, hydration if you're training indoors. Again, treadmill makes you super, super efficient. I would say if you can get at least 1 or 2 of your runs in the week on a treadmill, you're just going to learn that kind of smooth economy, that efficiency, and all that efficiency training. I'd say like your key block when you want to be about 3 months out when you're starting to really do your key, like I'm talking specific race specific kind of training builds. And 3 months is a nice amount of time because it means you can have 3 weeks really good hard, 1 week steady, absorb, recover from the previous 3 weeks. So you're getting in 9 big weeks. So then if you step back from that, I'd say your 2 months going into there would want to be like pretty, that's your transition from the really, really hard, from the base, sorry, to the really, really hard. So that's kind of starting to run off the bike, to maybe do more threshold swims rather than your strength swims. You're looking at no more road bike, just on your aero bars, like getting specific longer reps probably with less intensity, but really holding position and starting to be really focused on being aero. And yeah, that means that so then that's your 3, your 2. So you can be kind of coming out of like base training around, I'd say, yeah, you want to be looking, I don't know, in the next month or so coming out of base training. So yeah, be doing your really good economy, big building blocks now, and just be getting that engine kind of big. That's your,
Uh,
it's hard. It's hard doing that actually in a winter because yeah, it's hard to do that indoors.
sure. Interesting though. What's a solid like time to shoot for, given the metrics I just gave you?
Oh, what's your swim like?
Oh, could be better.
Yeah.
Maybe full distance, 1 hour 15 probably.
1 hour 15. Nice. And bike wise, do you have a TT bike?
No, I actually got my regular road bike.
You
Um,
going
what could I push on the bike? I don't even know. I feel like it's my strongest leg, but mm, let's say it's average. I don't know.
yeah. So like, I'm gonna say like if you shoot for a 3 hour PB, like if you're going for like a 12 hour kind of race, like
Hmm.
I think it's yeah, anyway, like yeah, I think you're gonna smash your PB for sure.
Okay. Okay. Well, I hope so. Shit, I almost got cut off. It was like an hour and 15 minutes before the
I know.
cutoff time, so it was terrible. Yeah, no, wasn't fair, but whatever. Okay, interesting. No, it's fun. Um, like things you can buy, like accessories for just like let's say amateur racer. What's like a
Uh,
good one that a little bit unconventional, just an accessory.
good. I would say so. Something that I use every single day are my hyper ice boots. I just think for me, rather than I know a lot of people will have a massage once a week or every other week, like it just saves time for me rather than let my body get super tight and then get a real like hammering to it. I prefer to loosen it up every single day. So
Hmm.
yeah, foam roller. I think anything that you can be self-sufficient on your recovery, so you can set it like 20 minutes aside. That's what I love about the boots. You can literally sit in them and it's not dead time because you can answer all your emails, you can still be doing all your work and
Sure.
stuff, and yeah, your body's recovering. So that's kind of my go-to hack of yeah, I don't even have massage. I just,
Hmm.
yeah, every night. That's my 30 minutes replying to emails and getting my legs nice and flushed.
Yeah, that's fun. So another fun thing, my sister is running her first one, same race. She's 18 right now. So it'll be fun.
Like,
I always hate asking this question because it's like whatever, but like women and men like training. What's your approach to that? Like, do you believe it's significantly different training as a woman, or it's just whatever?
Um, I think that so what I learned growing up, like a lot of most of my training group as a runner were guys, and it's easier for a girl to be strengthened, like an elite, super fast guy runner. It's hard for them to find training partners because they're always at the front of reps and whatever. For girls, it's really nice to be surrounded by guys who maybe are a little bit stronger. Um, because yeah, it's always going to push you and I think as well the guys give you shit. Like guys
Mm,
don't, yeah, they and they toughen you up and they, yeah, to begin with maybe aren't the most welcoming and then like actually it's, yeah, she's okay, she's pretty cool. So I think in terms of the actual training, like when we were younger, we literally did everything that the boys did. I think as you, yeah, as you grow up, I think as long as, yeah, girls obviously are a lot more prone to the bone density problems and sometimes need to have lower mileage if more kind of injury prone. But again, I think that's a very much, you could say the same for guys are in general less flexible, so need to work more on their flexibility to make sure they don't get injured. So I'd say it's more the supplement stuff around not getting injured. Like a girl and a guy can follow a very similar program, but it's the kind of injury, I would say signs or yeah, just little signals to look out for are different, and maybe the how they focus on recovery and diet is maybe the thing that is slightly different. Um, and yeah, also just monthly stuff. Like a girl can obviously feel very different throughout the month, and as long as you can track that and you know your body and there's so many ways to deal with different symptoms, then you can like help it not get in the way of your training. And I think that's probably one of the biggest differences between guys and girls.
I hear you. Yeah, that photo that you shared, that was pretty cool. When I look up your name, it says like it says like Emma Brown. Period. It's pretty fun. It's your first Google result.
Everywhere.
It's cool though. How did you look at that initially? Sharing that photo? Did you want to share it or not?
Yeah, I think initially, so we got all the photos through, and initially, like I saw that one, I was like, oh, like yeah, okay, that happened, and like it was one of the ones I chose not to put up, kind of post race, and then when T100 did share that one, like I just thought, cool, like whatever, I didn't think it was like a massively noticeable thing, and then when the guy commented on it, that's when I kind of felt like I should also comment because I didn't want it, if people were noticing, I didn't want it to be like a shameful noticing thing, you know what
Sure.
I mean? Like a something that yeah, that you can't talk about, that is something wrong or whatever, because yeah, I have my own reasons for being really proud of now having a period. I think it was something I really struggled with. So actually, yeah, that's what made me think, okay, well, it's one thing like saying I'm not ashamed and like it's cool to be up there, but I think it's another thing then following that with an action and actually putting it up there yourself. And I just wanted to explain like the reasons behind why I thought it was such a great thing that we can be women in sport, we can push our bodies really, really hard, and we can still be healthy. We can still have a menstrual cycle. And that's something that I didn't growing up. I thought it was one or the other. I thought you either a healthy girl who had your cycle, or you were a skinny elite runner who, yeah, wasn't going to be a natural like what a woman should be. And actually, yeah, since then learned going through everything that I went through. Yeah, if you can stop one other girl having that
Yeah.
not great mindset, then it's something worth doing.
Can you tell me about that? Like experiencing the whole thing and getting to that point that you're back on your period again.
Yeah, I think for me it was really tough because I did go through a stage of eating really badly, of getting to that point where I'm a 16, 17-year-old girl who wants to be the best at running, and I'm seeing these super skinny, like endurance Africans that I want to be like that. Like I want to, and not thinking, oh, my build is my build, but thinking, okay, if they're winning world cross country, that's what I got to look like to win world cross country. And then not eating, getting kind of, yeah, in that deficiency cycle. And it's something that I never, at the time, I didn't think, oh, I'm doing this now and then it won't come back. And then when I went through the whole, I was lucky enough to be on funding and have the support, and doctors intervened, my mum intervened, and they started watching what I was eating, and they started getting me out of this negative kind of mindset that skinnier body runs faster. Um, and then it was hard for me because I think transitioning to triathlon was that thing that really like helped me put on the weight, because I thought, okay, I don't see those, like I need to swim. Like I'm sinking in the water. I'm not strong. I'm gonna have a different body shape. And I think the fact that I had undereaten though and really slowed down my metabolism, when I started eating properly, I was then like ballooning. And I had to go through that awkward kind of almost a year of being like putting on a lot of weight because I was eating normally so that I could be able to train hard. But my body was holding on to that weight because it had been starved for like 2 years. And that was the hardest bit. That was the bit for me to push through, keeping on. Like every part of me wanted to just eat less so I could just not balloon up. And then your body normalizes, and it did normalize. And then I got my period back. So it was worth it. And I think 2 years ago, I ran a 10K PB, so faster, probably about 4 or so kilograms heavier than when I was a runner. And I still ran a PB. And then that really showed like the young me that actually, like, people aren't just saying that. You can generally run faster with a heavier, more healthy body.
No, interesting. The internet seemed to love it when you shared that picture. It went pretty viral. It was cool. And it's cool that you like are comfortable sharing that. Like you say, if you can help one person with it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like I said, my sister, she's 18 right now. What would you have done different? Maybe from whatever, not even just training, but maybe self-esteem wise or anything. Looking back over your athletic journey.
Yeah, I think looking back, I would have been a lot healthier. I think, yeah, if I look at the things like the way I was trying to get faster, I think I would say, now knowing what I know, rather than training harder, training more all the time, everything I wanted to do faster, everything I wanted to do longer, every single session had to be a PB. I think instead I would train smarter and be more confident, like believe, okay, you don't have to be the best in training every single day, because you're then leaving nothing for the race. And I was never backing off. I was never tapering. I was going into every race like, but the session before, I'd been pushing to my max because I wanted the confidence going into the race. And I think instead, just, yeah, being more confident in my ability, knowing that I can push to that deep dark place in the race, and not having to prove that to myself the day before. I
Hmm.
think, yeah, that's a massive kind of confidence thing.
I hear you. That's a good one. Yeah, fine. Um, what's still left for you? What's on the vision board?
Yeah, I think so coming from running, like I've always said, like I wanna go back and do some big run races. And yeah, I watch all these marathons, and yeah, I still have that running bug in me. I think there's still stuff I wanna kind of achieve running wise. And I think as well, at the moment I'm like level on 70.3 wins with Daniela Reef. So obviously would wanna win another one of those. And yeah, just keep kind of doing, I don't know, I'm doing more in life now, which is really important to me. We started building a development run club here in South Africa. And that was off an idea when I was a runner, and we trained in Kenya. And we saw, yeah, how running kind of changed those kids' lives. And I'm setting that up in a community here. And Yeah, it's been amazing. We already have one guy who's actually this weekend. We just went, I took him to a race. I did the half marathon, he did the 10K, and he won the junior boys against a really good guy that's been running for a long time. And yeah, it's meant the world to him. He's won prize money. Yeah, he's just, I don't know, it really is life changing for them. So if
Sure.
I can do more of that and build that, that's my big goal.
Yeah, I love that. What's the legacy you want to leave behind in the sport?
Um, I think I'd like to see more barriers broken. I think I'd like to see sport more. I think it's getting there. I think always I see more and more women doing it. I see more and more yeah, just everyone. Like I do think it's becoming more inclusive, and I think for me, yeah, just having that yeah, having, if there's a way that we can make people race happy and do sport happy, and I think that flows into generations. Like
Hmm.
if a kid grows up seeing their parents loving sport, like they're going to be little athletes themselves, and sport is really, yeah, it does change lives. It solves so many problems. And yeah, we can talk about mental health, we can talk about a million things, but yeah, for me, I think, yeah, the more people I can help get into sport, then I'd love that to be a bit of a legacy.